Hi everyone, it's Migs here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your config.cfg file in Euro Truck Simulator 2. So let's dive right in. To get to your folder or to get to your file, you'll have to go to your documents where you keep your Euro Truck stored. So in my case, it's under my documents folder, Euro Truck Simulator 2, and you will see it. There it is, config.cfg file. All right, by double clicking it, you'll open a, so here we go, let's open it up, and you'll see all the values in here for your config, stipulate how the game plays, what kind of effects you get and that kind of thing. So we're just going to run through the basics. That this is all to improve the gameplay and frame rate and graphic settings for the game. I'm running a 3-screen monitor setup, and because of the 3 screens, the game sometimes takes a hit when it comes to frames, especially when you get into the cities and that. So I've gone through and set it up as, tweaked it as good as possible to give me the best results. So I'm going to go scroll through the highlight items that you can change or manipulate to get you a better gameplay. And let's just go through them. All right, the first few, as you can see, I'm scrolling through up and down. These don't really have much effect. They're basics. But once you get to things like your R multi-mon field of view horizontal. Okay, so if you're using a single monitor setup, this is going to apply. So this will set your field of view, and this value you can change to give you the field of view that you'd like. But you'll also get this in-game where you can adjust the slider for the field of view. So that's not too critical. But this is where it gets serious. If you're going to use if you've got a 3-screen setup, you're going to require this one to be on 4. I think the default is on 1 for 1 screen, and then there's a value for 2 and so on. But I use 4 because of my 3-screen setup. So you would, if you're running 3 screens, you would leave it on, you'd set it to 4, otherwise you'd leave it on 1. The next one that you'll look at is your buffer page size. Here we go, it's this one over here. I think default is 10, I don't remember anymore, but I've played around with this a lot. At one point I was running it on 30, and then I jumped to 60, and now I'm at 100. This basically allows the game to keep a lot more stored in memory, a lot more prefabs and movements of the game, history of the game. So that helps with the logging of the track of the game, if I can put it in those words. So 100 is a good number to use. The next thing we're going to look at is your mirror scales. In 3-screen monitors, even on your single screen, I suppose, you can adjust the scale of your mirror. You've got your Y and your X axis. That adjusts basically the field, not field of view, but the space that you have on your mirror to get the most image on your mirror. Okay? So, but I don't know what the defaults are anymore. I really don't. But if it's not 2, that's what you should leave it on. And then your scaling of your Y and your X, this has got to do with your screens, leave it at 1. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at is your sun shafts, which is this one here. Sun shafts in the game, it does take a bit on your frames, does have a bit of an impact. But if you've got a high-end computer, or you've got a decent graphics card and decent CPU and decent RAM, it helps with the immersion of the game. It gives you better feeling, especially in the mornings when the sun starts coming up and those rays come through the trees. It really has a profound effect on how the thing gets seen. It gives you a bit more realism in the game. All right, when we scroll down, so obviously that's got to be on 1 because 1 is your value for on and 0 is for off. Then we go to light flares. Those are your traffic lights, your street lights, all to do with lighting. That's got to be on. All right. You can have your shadows, your cloud shadows, which is this one here. It's currently set to 0. What this will do in the game is you'll notice, especially on a sunny day, when you're driving around, suddenly you'll get dark spots on the road and they'll bright up again. And this is more prominent when it starts getting to dusk or early morning, when you have, the the light starting to fade, or, the light starting to brighten up and there's a bit of cloud cover. This will imitate that shadow passing of the cloud, the cloud passing in front of the sun. It will give you that effect. It's actually quite nice, but I'm not a fan of it, so I leave it on 0. You can put it on 1. It's all preference based. Okay, then we go to fake shadows. Here's another one. A lot of people don't know what fake shadows are. Fake shadows has got different values. You can set it, I think default is 1. It can go up to 4. I like to use it on 2 because this fake shadow, what it does, it creates the shadow underneath the vehicles. So any movers, you will get the shadow effect from it. Plus, if the sun is rising and you got the side-on effect of the shadow falling onto the road, this will create that shadow effect. Okay, so you play around with that figure and you'll see some changes coming up. All right, the next one we're going to lose is this sun shadow texture size. Okay, default is 4096. I've played around with this, and somehow it's not really visible, but it helps with frames in my experience. I've dropped it to 2048, so 2048. It's just the texture size. And if you got if you got a good machine, you will notice the differences. If you don't have a very good or high-end machine that can handle the capacities, you will definitely notice the differences, because you will be able to up other values in your graphic settings to accommodate the better viewing. So you don't have that blocky effect like Minecraft, that kind of thing. Right, sun shadow quality, that's 1. I think those are settings that you can set up in your graphic settings in-game. Mirror group, okay, this is a very important one. Again, because I'm running 3 screens and I get a lot of frame drops when I get into the bigger cities. Main culprits are the Turkey map, the Iberia map, the Project Balkans map, and then any big cities where there's a lot of prefabs, that kind of thing. The frame rate of the game takes a big hit. So what I've done here, mirror group is normally set to 4, which basically gives you images on all your mirrors. So basically your left small and large, your front mirror, your side mirror, and then your rear view mirror small and large. So all those mirrors are covered if you place it on 4. What I've learned to drive is just with my main mirrors, left and right, and then my front mirror, the one that shows towards the bumper. And that has helped me with frame rate like you have no idea. It really has made a difference, and it's helped with my frame rate a lot. I actually done the test while I'm in game, and I can literally see the frames drop the minute I switch on those mirrors. Okay, so that's a big one. If you can get that sorted, you'll have gameplay to the next level. The next one we look at is the rear view mirror, the view distance, the mirror view distance. Sorry, this is how far your mirror can see backwards. I'm a sucker for realism. I'd like to look in my mirrors and see what's happening at the back. I like to see the traffic build up from behind, especially at night. You can see those lights, you know, the traffic lights and that, and as it fades into the background, it just gives you that extra immersion in the game. So I think default, if I remember correctly, I think is 200 if I'm not mistaken, but I've set mine to 1000. If your machine can handle it, you can go as high as you want, but for me 1000 is adequate. It gives you more than enough rear view image on the mirror. Okay, deferred mirrors, that really doesn't really have, I don't know what that really does. I've tried playing around with that figure, but I haven't gotten any differences, so maybe I'm not looking at it properly. I really don't know. The next thing we're going to look at is full screen. Here we go. Full screen, but that I think you set in your graphic settings in the game itself. You enable it, so the one is enabled. Your refresh rate is another one that you can also set in-game. And then these are automatic values that will be set in the game according to your graphics card settings. Okay, so those are all the things that you can change or adjust in-game. The next thing we're going to look at is your pedestrians, your LOD factors, or LOD. I don't know how people pronounce it. I say LOD. Okay. LOD factor pedestrian. I don't want pedestrians in my game. This is one of the biggest culprits of frame hogging. If you want them, play around with that value. The LOD, that will give you a distance for, that factor will determine how far they will become visible from. So you can then adjust accordingly. And then obviously with the next one, that is to switch it on and off. So a 1 would be pedestrians on, 0 is pedestrians off. Okay, these next two, G-light span factor and G-light distance factor. Okay, believe it or not, the default values on these are 1. And if you're in game, you'll only view this at night. You'll only see the differences at night. I've played around with this for a long time until I figured this one out. What it does, if you're driving in a lit up area, not very lit up, like a rural town, and you're driving down the main street and there's lights down the distance, and you can see where the lights actually stop, where the town ends as you're leaving the town, but at the distance. The default value of 1, that light is very dim. Okay? At 4, it brightens up. So you can go 2, 3, 4 is the maximum. And the same applies to the distance factor. You will see that at a distance, things become more visible at night, especially if you have dark nights. You know, the maps that have dark nights, those are the ones that you will really notice these differences by changing these two values. Okay, vehicle flare lights, that's obviously something you can set in-game. And then auto traffic lights is something you set over here. If you want the traffic lights, headlights to come on automatically in bad weather or as soon as it starts getting dark, this will be set to 1. But additionally to this, there's values you set in traffic data and in game data that will alter this as well. So remember, not just one place you change something and it will be good to go. There's various other files that you have to manipulate or can manipulate to get the desired effect when it comes to things like this. All right, the next one we're going to look at is the load factor for traffic. I've got it on 5. The default is on 1. What this does is it helps to see if you're driving on a long stretch of road and suddenly traffic just starts spawning 100, 200 meters away from you. That to me, it boggles the mind. You know, in real life, when you're driving down the road, you can see the guys coming over the hill, basically. And by changing, you can go as high as 10. 10 really gives you a high distance, far distance at least, and you can see the traffic building up far away. And you don't have that effect of random spawning of traffic. Okay, so I like it to 5 because it helps with my frame rates. 10 does drain it a bit. And then in one of my future videos, you will see that by changing this value, the impact it has on the game. And I'll show you on my frames as well. All right, the next one, default is 1 on the G traffic. That is your traffic volume. But this is also manipulated in your traffic data file, your traffic data SII file, where you can adjust the number of vehicles. With the latest releases of Euro Truck, the traffic data files become slimmer and slimmer. There's less attributes and variables that you can be manipulated. But I'll show you in future videos where and how and what variables you can add in and still make a difference. Okay? So for now, you can leave it on 1 and then we'll manipulate it in-game as we go along. I'll show you that in a future video as well. K.preview, that's if you're a developer, that will be of necessity to you. The next thing we're going to go for, and that is the big one. Everybody speaks about the tilde button. It's actually called the grave button. That's the button that appears on your keyboard in the top left, just below the escape key, next to the number 1 key. It's above the little backwards apostrophe. Yeah. It's a little symbol that looks like a little wave. That's called the tilde key, actually the grave key. But all right, let's work on tilde. That allows you to get into the game's functions while you're in-game to manipulate certain variables if you want to change certain things. So that will put you into developer mode. And coupled with this, you're going to need certain other settings to be switched on as well, such as your console and your minicon. But anyway, I'll get to that in a second. The next thing we're going to look at is G reflection. That is one that gets set in your graphic settings. Basically, this is the setting that gives you that reflection of the water, reflection of the glass, that kind of reflection of cars. But this is something that you can set in your graphic settings. You don't have to worry about that, yeah? Grass density is another one. This is a big frame hugger as well, as together with the reflection one. But you can set the value in the game in the graphic settings where you can set it to disabled, low, medium, or high. It's best to keep it on low. It still gives you a good feel for what the game has, you know, the scenery in that. If you disable it complete, you're going to get just plain like matte fields. You know, there's going to be no grass, there's going to be no, you'll see the trees, but that's it. It's going to be very generic. The grass density does immerse the game a bit more. And then vegetation detail is also something you can set in game. It's currently set to 0 because I've got it on very low. But once you get in game, you can play around with those settings And in the future, well, I think will be the next video I'm making, or the next one after that, where I'll go into the game, and in the game settings, the graphic settings, I will show you what my setup is, and you can then manipulate it according to your system's capabilities, and you take it from there. All right, I just want to move on and see. All right, let's get to the console. Here we go. G minicon, that is set to 0 as default. You set that to 1. If you want to have access to your console by pressing the tilde key and having the display in the top left corner of your screen, this is the function that will do that for you. The console, again, once you press the tilde key, it opens another little window where you can actually type in the different commands and adjust those commands. And then the last one is I don't know if it's the last one, but FPS. This is set to 0, but if you set it to 1, in your top left hand corner where it gives you all your, basically gives a rundown of all the errors in the game, the processes in the game and that kind of thing. So it's basically a scrolling, updating system of what the game is doing. It will also show you the frames in your game. But anyway, listen guys, it's been wonderful. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it. To see more videos like this in the future, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps. If you'd like to see me cover any other topics, leave a comment down below and I'll add it to my list of videos to create. Alright, that's all I have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care guys.